Okay, hello everyone and welcome. It's 4 o'clock, so we'll get started. Thank you all for being here. We're aware that it's probably been a really long day for you all. So what we're going to promise is that we're going to go through fairly quickly through the orientation because I know that many of you have participated in induction before. And then Jennifer Miller, the co-district lead, and I will be staying on after this session to answer any questions, especially for people who have not yet participated in induction. So know that we are going to go at a fairly quick pace just to honor your time, but also be available afterward, and we will send you the slides as well. So good to see you all. Just make sure you name yourself or rename yourself. So if you could do an M for mentor and then your name, or a C for candidate. And the way you change your name is you go to the 3 dots at the upper right hand corner of your video, and it should allow you just to edit your name. So we'll do a screenshot in about 5 minutes, again, just for attendance purposes. Okay. So I'm just admitting people as we're getting started here. Okay, I am Julie Cantillon. I'm Associate Director of Schools, and I'm co-district lead here with Mrs. Jennifer Miller. Jennifer, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everybody. District lead for teacher induction and learning support coordinator at Good Shepherd Catholic School.
And you'll see Mr. Chad Lanting is our partner at the county office, and he oversees the induction process. And then we manage the mentors candidates for the Diocese of San Diego. For those of you who were NSYNC fans back in the 90s, I thought you'd like this one. Some of you might be too young for that. Okay, if you could join us in prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord God, your spirit of wisdom fills the earth and teaches us in your ways. Look upon these teachers. Let them strive to share their knowledge with gentle patience and endeavor always to bring the truth to eager minds. Grant that we may follow Jesus Christ, the way, the truth, and the life, forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Okay. And if you wouldn't mind for today's meeting, if you could just stay muted so we don't hear the background noise. If you have questions, if you could post them in the chat box. And if we can't get to them during the meeting, we'll get to them after, so hang out a little bit afterward if you're able to. And then be present. We know you have a lot coming at your way and emails, and it's very tempting to multitask, but if you wouldn't mind just staying present during the duration of this meeting, we'll try to keep it moving along quite quickly. Agenda for today will be done well before 5:15, but it's the image that's on there, so don't let that fool you. We will end with some information about payment. So I know a lot of you have sent questions about how that works, so we'll be covering that as well. Okay. And Jennifer, what is induction? Did Jennifer drop off? Okay, it looks like Jennifer might have dropped off of the meeting. So if she is able to rejoin us, I'll make sure to let her in. Okay, so just so you know too, here she is. I'm trying to manage the chat box and admit people, so I just want to make sure I catch everything. All right, Jennifer, are you back?
I am. I'm so sorry I got cut off.
That's okay. You're right on time. So what is induction?
Excellent. So induction is a program for you all to actually work on within your job context. It is a 2-year program, and this is only for teachers that have completed their 3rd year in teaching. You will have professional support and mentoring from your Catholic school colleague, either on site or it could be somebody off site but close to you. And we will be working through formative assessment wise as far as helping you to grow. And when you're all done, we'll be able to recommend you for a clear credential.
Okay, so once again, you do need to have a preliminary California credential in order to participate as a candidate in induction. So just making sure you all have that or in the process of receiving that. Okay, another popular question relates to ECO, or early completion option. So many of the teachers in our diocese qualify for this. And this is because you've been teaching for 3 or more years, and typically in public schools, they require you to clear it sooner. But if you're in the situation where you have been teaching for 3 or more years and you're working in one of our Catholic schools, you could qualify for ECO. But it is a process, so we want to make sure you're aware of that. And so the application process is linked here, and I also emailed it out to everyone who had registered for induction by the 1st of September. We'll make sure again to make these slides available in the chat box, so that way you can actually access the link. So it does require that you have, like I said, 3 or more full-time years of experience, and you also need a letter from your principal attesting to your capabilities of meeting deadlines, of being a responsive practitioner, and as someone who's able to meet the CSTPs. So it will require a letter of support from the principal. It requires verification of employment for 3 years. And it also requires a classroom observation from one of the district leads. So once you get all of the other documentation in place, following the application process, you'll submit that to me, to Julie. And then what you'll do is, if it meets all the criteria, so you have the letter from the principal, the verification of employment, and the classroom evaluations, which you'll also need, then we can schedule a classroom observation from the district lead. And the advantage to this program is it will save you about $1,500 because you'll be able to complete the program in 1 year. And you'll also, again, just complete year 1. So there's no additional work that you'd have to do. It would be basically you just complete year 1 of the program as an ECO candidate, and then you would earn your clear credential. So there are a lot of questions asked about the ECO process. So what we've done is we've compiled a list in the FAQs, which are linked on our website, which is also linked on the slide deck. But the direct link for the FAQs is right here. Jennifer, anything else on ECO?
Just that this year is going to be a really interesting year as far as the observations, so do not worry if you're not actually on site. We're going to be creative with either live or recorded lessons.
Exactly. So I would love to go to as many sites as possible, but if that is not the reality for your school at this point, that is totally fine. We'll be able to adapt. Okay, so this process is aligned to the California standards for the teaching profession. And these standards are also aligned, the CSTPs as they're called, are also aligned to our SD Catholic observation protocol. So if you've been in the diocese for a couple of years, you've probably had an observation from your principal, and that observation, if they're using the diocesan one, is aligned to the CSTPs. And at the beginning of the year, and we're not sure about this year because of course we're starting off a lot differently, but if you meet with your principal, you establish professional learning goals for yourself. And these goals can be the same goals you have not only for your observation evaluation process at your school, but also for induction. So there's no need to create additional goals for induction process. Please work on something that you'd like to improve at your school that you've already identified or in the process of identifying, so you're not creating more work for yourself. So ideally, this is a process that can support the work that you're already doing and the goals you've already set for yourself at your school.
So what is action research? There is a linked video here that you could watch at your leisure, but basically it's an overview of the process of action research, which starts with planning. So you want to find something that will help you improve your practice. It's not a research project. It's going to be focusing on what you want to eventually improve within your craft, and then you'll try it out by teaching. You'll be reflecting yourself, then with your mentor, and then you will be applying changes that you guys came up with together. So as you can see, it's a formative assessment circle basically. You find something that you want to improve in your craft, and you're going to work on that within your classroom. So it's not a research paper, it's more of an inquiry that's going to last, well, the actual thing that you choose to work on to improve will last about 6 weeks. So you will have 6 weeks of inquiry, trying things out, strategies and ideas, and working with your mentor closely to see how your craft is improving and getting that feedback as well. And then finally, acting on your plan and evaluating those results through reflection. You will have some paperwork to do, not a research paper, but it is some paperwork that basically is just going to drive your thinking and your communication with your mentor. So you will see that later on in the presentation or get a glimpse of that. So here's an overview of the candidate and mentor responsibilities. I want to point out under candidate responsibilities that it's really important that you follow up on either district lead emails from Julie and I, or mentor communications, whether you choose to talk via phone or text or email or Zoom. And make sure it is in a timely manner. It's okay, we all get busy, but just something to say, you know, let me get back to you. Just keep in touch. Then under mentor responsibilities, mentors are going to be logging into Basecamp, which is our communication portal, and share any notifications that come up directly to the candidates. So the mentors are the communicators to the candidates. As district leads, we will not be communicating directly to the candidates. We're here to support the mentors. And then finally, communicate with your candidates every week for about an hour. So if you're wondering how are you going to plan this out, basically about an hour a week, you'll be working on your action research and working alongside your mentors, candidates. So however you guys choose to do that, whatever's the best. Okay.
Okay, and then moving on to some mentor supports and candidate supports. As Jennifer mentioned, the county representative communicates with the district leads, and then the district leads primarily communicate with the mentors. So if you're a mentor, you'll be hearing from us frequently, and where you hear from us is primarily on Basecamp. If you've been in the diocese for a couple of years, you're very familiar with Basecamp as we organize all of our projects on it. But if not, you'll receive an invitation if you're new to the Basecamp as a mentor, and we'll be posting any updates that we receive from the county lead, who's Chad, or any updates we have about our specific due dates. Something to keep in mind is sometimes the information on the county site is different from the information on our website. You need to make sure you follow our website, because the county website really has like their deadlines, like their drop dead deadlines, like this is when it's due, whereas each district within this, this process has their own deadlines that are usually, you know, a week or two earlier. So again, make sure you're following our deadlines on the SD Catholic website. They'll also be hosting, again, as they did last year, support webinars and recordings. So there may be some questions that come up this year that haven't in the past because of the working situation with COVID-19. So you might be more interested in taking advantage of these sessions. They are recorded, so if you sign up, you'll be able to access those as well. And Chad is very organized over at the county office. The links are all there. So if you have a minute even tonight to drop those in your calendar just so you have them there, that might be a good strategy. As I mentioned too, we have the Diocesan Professional Learning page. So that can be found by clicking here. We'll update today with the 2020-2021 slide deck, but here's our contact information. And when you send an email to one of us, you could always just CC the other, or in our response, we might CC the other one if they weren't included, just so Jennifer and I can stay in contact with one another on our communications. By now you've signed up for induction, so you've probably read through some of these materials, but here's where we'll be updating our due dates. So we tried to make it as easy as possible to say, you know, where is it due, when is it due, and then a description. So this is, again, we think it's final, but there may be some additional tweaks we have to make as time goes on. So you may want to print it out, but also just make sure that you continue to access it so you'll be able to see if anything has been updated. Jennifer, are you able to let people into the rooms?
Yes.
Okay. There's some people in the waiting room.
Okay.
So if you see here too, you'll notice for the eco option, that all paperwork is due to us by September 18th, but the application isn't due to the county until October 5th. So again, that gives you a little bit of time to make sure that you have everything. That way Jennifer and I can tell you if there's something missing or if further explanation is needed. So that way you'll have it ready to submit to the county by October 5th. And then,
Julie, I'm not allowed to, bring them in now, sorry.
It's okay. And then what will happen is we'll schedule an observation with you within a few days, so that way we can get all the information submitted to the county by their deadline, which would be before October 31st. So again, all materials from the application are due to Jennifer and to Julie by September 18th. Then they're due to the county by October 5th. And after that, we'll schedule the district lead observation. So there is a change from last year. So just making sure that you're aware of the changes. Okay, getting back. Let's see, something else that we're starting this year too is monthly office hours. So of course you can go to the ones through the county office, but if you have questions that are more specific to our due dates, our requirements, things like that, Jennifer and I will be holding monthly office hours for you to check in. So we'll be putting those dates and times on the Basecamp. And candidate supports. Sorry. You'll be assigned a mentor. And we actually have something else a little bit different this year for the process. Usually by this meeting we have you assigned, and then we make modifications if needed. This year we decided to hold off with the pairing list and have you complete a form to request a mentor or a candidate if you have somebody in mind. This way we want to make sure that if you have someone you work with at your site that you think would be a good fit, you can request that person. Keep in mind too, you cannot have your mentor be a supervisor. So if it's someone who does your evaluations, like your department chair or your principal, that person cannot serve as your mentor. So the candidate should be someone in a non-evaluative role. And then candidates will be submitting assignments on Canvas, which is the learning management system. That isn't even open yet. I believe it opens on September 11th. So you'll receive registration information. And we'll put that out on Basecamp if it's not already sent to you directly by the county office. And then again, you also have the diocesan professional learning page to make sure you're aware of due dates. Okay, and Jennifer.
Alrighty, so the ILP is going to be what I was talking about as far as the paperwork, keeping you going on your discussion with your mentors, digging for evidence, and understanding the context of your teaching environment as far as where we start out at the beginning of the year here. Year one, just remember ECOs, just remember if you are doing the ECO, you just worry about year one, you don't have to worry about year two. So we start off very easy with just an MOU, which is a memorandum of understanding that you just simply sign and turn that into Canvas. And that's due the same day for us as it is for the county. So I showed you here with a big orange and a slash that these are the county's due dates that you will see in Canvas. So what Julie was mentioning before is you really need to stick to our due dates for the Diocese of San Diego, which are in blue. So hopefully that helps you understand a little bit better. Although I think the one on the right those are old dates. So on the left is your updated calendar, which you're actually going to receive in our handouts. So year ones and ECO candidates, you're going to get started as soon as you're all set with Canvas and you've had a chance to talk with your mentors. And you're going to start off with a video discussion, which is something that's not graded by Julie or I. It's an independent group of people. So just be really careful when you read the directions. It will ask you to respond to the prompt and reply to a peer. Sometimes we just get really busy and we think, oh, we already responded, you know, to the peer, but sometimes we didn't. So just be really careful to make sure you go back and reply to a peer, especially if you're one of those early birds and there aren't a whole lot of peers to reply to. Secondly, completing the ILP. The first section is called, you know, kind of like investigating your teacher context. So whether you're at a new site or a site you've been at for a very long time, you're going to be doing some investigation as far as what's available on your site and in your community. So you're going to be sharing this with your mentor via Google Docs, which is how we do everything. And that way your mentor can walk beside you virtually and view what you're writing, comment, and also support you as you complete the sections. So year one and ECO candidates, you'll want to plan a minimum of 5 hours to complete this entire document between, it says September 1st, but you're really not going to be able to get started until about September 13th. And you'll have until October 15th. So definitely pace yourself out so that you don't get stuck at the very end trying to finish up this assignment. And then also you'll be setting aside 1 hour per week to work on the assignment, which could be those same hours that you're working with your mentor. So just try not to procrastinate. And then year two. So now that you're in year two, you have a little bit of leeway here as far as professional courtesy. You're only going to be putting in about 3 hours to complete your document because you've done a lot of this already as far as your teaching context with your site. You will see that it will say discussion only for some parts within year two assignments. And when it says discussion only, that means literally just discuss your answers with your mentor. You don't have to type them in. So if that does happen where it says discussion only and you choose to type your answers, we're going to have to ask you to take that out just for consistency. And again, try not to procrastinate. Year twos, you know what you're doing.
Okay. We've got people floating in and out of the meeting here, so just trying to make sure we're staying on top of that.
Yeah, it's hard to juggle.
I know.
Okay, so program timeline and due dates. And this is going to be really great if you can stay on target. We have an awesome program that offers scholarships. So Julie's going to talk about that on one of the next upcoming slides. So really try and stick to these due dates and you'll be golden, because that way we have enough time to follow up with you if there's anything that needs improvement, and you're not going to be stressed out.
One of the things too that's really important, and I know Jennifer's mentioned it, is that the deadlines are really hard deadlines, and I know it can be challenging sometimes, but really you need to work on pacing yourself, because with the county there's a certain amount of leeway, maybe once, but there would be a program improvement plan if we're having some difficulties meeting the deadline. So I just want to make sure you're all aware of that. So if you're in a master's program, if you have lots of other after school responsibilities, as I know many of you do, just really keep an eye on the due dates to make sure that you can meet everything and be successful in the program. All right, on to payments. So payment is never fun, and we would love it if the diocese were able to make sure that everyone cleared their credential with no cost. But that's not an option for most of us. So it costs $1,550 per year to clear your credential. If you have been teaching for 3 years, again, you're eligible for the ECO option, which means you'd save yourself roughly that amount because you'd only be paying for 1 year. So if you're someone who this is your first year in the diocese and you're already thinking, wow, this is a busy year, I'm not sure if this is the right year for me to clear my credential, I'd take another few days to think about it, because really if you wait till your 3rd year, you could have the opportunity to do it for about half the cost. And also we know that this is also a challenging year anyway, so it might make it worth it to hold off a little bit. So even if you've already registered, there's time to reconsider. Just let us know as soon as possible if you decide to wait till you've been a teacher for 3 full years, if you'd like to work on the ECO option. All right, the eco option is an extra $100 for administrative fees. So again, as we went over, you'll need to submit all criteria in one packet to me by September 18th. So what I'd ask is that you don't piecemeal it and try to send me individual emails with each of the criterion. Just get them all together, send it as one packet, have the application form on the top as a PDF, and that way I can scan it quickly and get right back to you as to what might be missing or what's still needed. Once we have that, then we'll be able to schedule the observation, and Jennifer and I will come up with a system internally to be able to schedule those. But if you could give me some times and dates that might work for you, either in person or online, that way I can work with Jennifer to coordinate those visits. Again, they could be in person, they could be online. And then the completed final application is sent to SDCOE and CC Julie, myself, on it as well by October 5th. We do offer a payment plan. So the diocese pays the total cost of induction to the county in October, I believe. And then what we do is we invoice you. So the county does not offer a payment plan anymore. They used to a few years back. But since they don't offer one, we try to make it work for you. So through our office, you can schedule a payment plan with our admin assistant, Ann Noya. So what she's done is she created this form for you to complete. And we'd like everyone to make sure they complete it. Again, we'll drop the slide deck in the chat box in just a minute or so. You'll have your name, your school, your contact information, and then you have to choose a payment option, either A or B. You can see that it's divided into just about monthly payments, so it lowers it significantly, so you're not charged with the whole $1,550 up front. Okay, the eco option, because it's an additional $100, that deposit is $350, because again, the administrative fee and then the cost of the observations and just the paperwork that's involved with that. So you'll just select that, and then payment information is also here. Anne has also included a box just to make sure that you agree to the terms. One thing we'll say about this is every year we've had some challenges with not hearing from teachers who are completing the program. So just make sure if you're having issues with payment, please reach out to us as soon as possible. We can work with you for sure. What does make it challenging is if we don't hear from you. Then we don't know are you still working in the system? Is there a challenge? Do you need some support? We're happy to work with you as much as we can. So just let us know if there are issues with payment or if something comes up, like I said, and we will try to make it work. Okay, there's also an award opportunity. So at the end, toward the end of induction, I believe we did it in about April, we have the opportunity for mentors to nominate their candidates. And the mentor nominates their candidate if they've met all the deadlines, their inquiry, their final project is high quality, and they're responsive and have a growth mindset. And the nomination really is only 2 to 3 sentences. They submit it, they say, I'd like to nominate, I'm just going to pick Megan Seymour because she's first on my list. Here are the reasons why, and then they send it in. And then what we'd like to do is we go through that and we just cross-check everything, and then we award as many as we can. So we know this is even a harder year for many of us financially, so we're going to try and do as much of that as we can. So just please make sure you, again, meet the deadlines, respond to your mentor, reach out if you have any questions, and that way your mentor is eligible to nominate you for this award opportunity. Oh, one thing we do ask on this is if your school is reimbursing you for the induction program, which we do have a couple of schools who are able to do this, those candidates are not eligible for the award. So really the award is for teacher candidates who are paying for the program on their own. Also, mentor payments. Mentors receive a stipend of $500, and Ann Noya has it on the calendar, I believe, for June 1st. So if you complete all of your responsibilities with your candidate, you'll receive a $500 check toward the end of the year. So Ann Noya will be reaching out to you to make sure that she has the correct information for you, and then, like I said, you'll receive that payment by June 1st.
All right, so here is section 1 for you to start thinking about. We have a verification document. Actually, you know what? Everything's all in one. So if you wouldn't mind clicking, Julie, on the ILP Year 1. The first section is what we're working on for the rest of September and part of October. And you will be in a Year 1 going through your teaching context. It does say section 1 is due by Monday, November 9th. But remember, this is a document that goes out to everybody across the whole of San Diego County. So this is not your due date. If you turn it in on this date, it will be late and we're going to have problems. So really try and stick to the diocesan due dates and lean on your mentor to help you with that. But if we can scroll down, we're going to have a verification required at the end when we are done filling in all of these sections and having an observation by our mentor. It looks like a lot, but it's really, oh, we even get down to the question there. Yeah, it is kind of a lot, but mentors are going to be, they're trained or they've already done this. So, and we're also here to help new mentors. And basically what they do is they verify that you've completed your, everything in your ILP that you needed to complete. And then they send it on to a second mentor. It's called reviewer signature in the red box towards the bottom. And this second mentor, it might be someone you know, it might not, but it's really important to give them a few days, because if you imagine, you know, everybody's schedules are busy, give them a few days to read through it and sign off on it, okay? So please don't wait until the night before it's due to have your mentor send it to the second signer, because that really wouldn't be fair. And then this is one document. It just keeps going and going, but we're not going to go any further than where we just looked at. The verification is where we're going to stop for section 1. And then ILP Year 2, your sections are pretty much, they're the same as what we just saw. The only difference is you may have some discussion only. So remember, you do not need to type anything in where it says discussion only. The beauty of the way the ILP is set up this year is that as candidates, you are constantly putting in notes in this assignment saying how your mentor can help you. It's a really good communication tool, and it keeps you both on the same page. And then mentors already have it in the form of a Google Doc, so they can go right onto your Google Doc and answer your questions, make comments, and it becomes a very fluid communication tool as well as your action, you know, research tool. Oh, and there is no separate ILP for SPED this year, just so you're aware.
Okay, and ILP stands for Individual Learning Plan. Right? All right, so next steps. So like we said, normally we would have you already paired with someone at this point. However, this year we don't for a number of reasons, but what we'd like from you two is to complete the Mentor Candidate Request Survey if you have someone in mind you'd like to work with. I dropped the slides into the chat box, so you should be able to access this link. If you signed up as a mentor and you're wondering if we need you this year, we do. So some of the mentors have reached out and said, you know, I don't have anyone who's going to request me. I don't necessarily have someone at my school. We have, I believe, 40-something people signed up as candidates and only about 20 mentors right now. So we do need you. We're going to probably have some mentors with more than one candidate. So again, if you did sign up as a mentor and you're not sure if you're needed, you more than likely will be needed. So we're going to start working as if you are going to be a mentor, working on that pairing list. Our goal is to have the pairing list complete by the end of the week, hopefully before that, so that way we can get that to you so you can start to make contact with them. When you do receive your pairing, so the person you're going to be matched with, introduce yourself, tell them about yourself. We hope that it can be someone at your school, but if there's not a mentor signed up at your school, then it will be someone at a hopefully nearby school, although Zoom makes it so that we can do this remotely as well, but it is nice to have someone who works in approximately a similar area for you in case you do need to have some face-to-face time, or you do want to do that live observation. if that's allowable. You're going to share your contact information. It's great if you could just share your, if you're someone who texts but doesn't call. I know I have little ones. It's really impossible almost to have a call at night, so I would prefer texting. So let them know how you prefer to communicate, so that way you can be on the same page with how that will look. You're also going to create your individual learning plan in Google Docs, as we mentioned. The template's there, so you'll make a copy. You're going to share it with your mentor, and we're also going to have a form that we share with mentors, so mentors will share it with us. So what we're starting to do this year is, as you're working, we should be able to see your progress, because what they were saying at the county level was that when COVID hit, they found out, a lot of deadlines had to be abbreviated, but what they discovered was that many people had just started the process, even though they should have been almost done by that point. So what they're doing now is they're requiring that those docs are shared with us along the way. And that, I think, helps you. I know I like a little accountability as well, so that way someone's checking in to make sure you're making progress, and your mentor can reach out to you if she notices or he notices that, uh-oh, it's due next week, I don't see anything written there yet. We'll all be able to access it and look at the same document. So please do make sure to share it in edit version, so we're all able to see the link without signing in or requesting access. And I shared this already, discussed your preferred date, time, and mode of communication. Some weeks you might just send a quick text to your mentor and say, hi, Megan, or your candidate, hi, Megan, how you doing? And other weeks it may be, a half-hour phone call or a series of emails going back and forth, just depending on what the need is. So it's not like a certain amount of time each week is required. It's just, it will be about, plan on about an hour a week, but some weeks it will be a minute, and some weeks it might be 2 hours in emails and in reviewing the work so far. All right, so again, an action item is to complete the mentor candidate request survey. If you don't request anyone, that's totally fine too. We'll just work on finding someone who we think would be a good fit, both grade level wise, school wise, and geography wise. Here's just a final piece too. If you are in a situation where you're having trouble making the monthly payments and that's not going to work for you either, you might want to consider a curriculum loan. And just one vendor we work with quite a bit, and you've seen them if you've been in the diocese for a couple of years, Schools First Credit Union, they do have loans for this purpose, for clearing your credential. It's sad that we need to take out a loan to clear our credential sometimes, but it is a service that is available if you're in need and a payment plan won't work. Okay, with that, we tried to keep it under 45 minutes. It's 4:38. So I want to thank you all for joining us, and I want to let you know too, I did take 2 screenshots. So assuming you were both, in one of those screenshots and you made it, you were here for the whole meeting, I do have you down as having attended. It is a requirement per the county to make sure you attend these meetings. We don't have them very often, but when we do, they do need to verify that everyone was here. I also have record that some people put in the chat box that they were here watching it alongside somebody else. So I've got you all too. So if you don't have any further questions, or if you don't want to stay around for the Q&A, you're welcome to go, and we will see you soon. But if you have some questions or would like to go through some of the questions that we've had on the chat box, we're going to do that right now. So take care if you will be leaving the meeting at this point, and if not, we're going to just start off with some of the questions that were asked in the chat box. Okay, some of it's private. Let's see. Haley, I think you got it, that the EGO documents due to us by September 18th in one packet. Sarah Fisher asked a question that I answered in the chat box, but I also want to answer live just so you all see it. Oh, Jennifer answered it too. You are required to teach for 3 full years of teaching anywhere to apply for EGO. Jennifer, do you see any other questions?
No, there was another one that was really interesting, and I just had her email us because she's had a lot of varied experience. So
Okay.
we just have to make sure it's always 3 years complete. It can't be 2 3/4 years. It can't be student teaching. It has to be actually teacher of record for 3 complete years.
Got it.
Would you like to look at the ILP a little bit more in depth at all?
Let's see. This is a good question too, Jennifer. Do you want to take it? What is meant by ILP? There is one for year 1 and one for year 2.
Yes. So this is your action research for the year. Do you mind clicking on the year one?
Sure.
Because I know it's, when I first was introduced to all of, all of this as a mentor and a candidate, it can seem very overwhelming just because we're going through everything so quickly. And there won't be a time when we actually sit down and walk you through the ILP, because that's what your mentor is going to be doing. So this is the individual learning plan for year one. And basically it's just telling you, we're going to be working on the CSTPs and reminding you of the things that we've already discussed today. That's pretty much this page. So as we go down, this is where we actually get to work. This is where you get to know your students. You're going to be, taking stock of where students are as far as their current performance levels. If we just scroll down a little bit more, see, there you go. And we're going to be very vigilant about using first names only. And you're going to take about 5 students, it looks like here this year. And so that means if you're teaching, like 50, 60 students, or if you even have, a sped class of 5, that's all you need is this little sample here to show who your students are, where their strengths are. This is a good time to also jump in and find out a little bit more about SST, 504 plans. Some students may already be tested as gifted and talented, which is GATE, although we don't do that, but they could have come in with that certification or that outcome. Yes, and then IEPs. This is also a time to touch base with your resource specialist or whomever, even your principal, about the IEP and finding out what's required within it, as well as English language learner. You can add in anything else that you want to add. And then under week 1, getting to know your candidates, here's the first example of working with your mentor. So if you could scroll down just a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so, and it says right here, it's just in time communication. So basically it's asking, what's going on right now? How can your mentor support you? You can use up that box as much as you want to. And your mentor can respond on the right side and give you feedback. And then also, how might the knowledge that you've gained so far in this first section impact your teaching and or your students' learning? So you're going to find out some really interesting things about your students as you dig a little deeper. And maybe that's going to make you reflect a little bit more and ultimately maybe even have some more questions for your mentor to discuss ideas or strategies to reach each individual learner. And then underneath, if we scroll down just a little more.
Sorry. Trying to respond to chat questions and then
No problem. Getting to know your community. If you are new to a school, this is really good practice anyway, is to get to know, what's around your community, what's available. There's community map that you'll be looking up to see what resources there are. And then you're just going to write 3 items that you discussed with your mentor related to your community. So you can see it's rather simplistic at the beginning. It's more information gathering. And then again, you have your ongoing communication. What's going on right now? How can your mentor support you? So it's always a reminder that your mentor is there for you and to support you in any way you need. And then also you're going to have the reflection underneath it where it says induction, where your things that you didn't know, talk about these things. And then we're going to move on to your pre-observation planning. So now you've seen who your students are this year. You may already have something creeping up that you're like, oh, I wish I could work on this and make this better. Maybe it's guided reading. Maybe it's reaching out to students that have different ways of learning, maybe UDL, which is Universal Design for Learning, which is something that the diocese will be working a lot on this year, so you'll have a lot of information on that. But basically, you're going to figure out what you want your mentor to see when they come and visit you. And then for this one here, You're just going to describe the purpose of your activity to be observed, and then point out students, first names only, so that your mentor can keep an eye on them. So again, we're gonna have to be creative. If we're going, you know, and using a Zoom observation as a way for you and your mentors to connect, those students will have to be in the windows. So it's going to be something that we figure out together. And if it doesn't work perfectly the first lesson, that's fine. You can always use a subsequent lesson. It's not a big deal. And then underneath that, if we scroll a little bit more, then you have a little bit more discussion, again, just in time discussion. And then also, how do you feel about the upcoming observation? That's really good information for your mentor to know to support you in the best way possible. And then underneath there, your mentor is taking notes throughout. Their factual notes. Your mentor is there to be basically a mirror for you, just to see what you're doing, how you're speaking, how you're delivering, how you're communicating with students, or anything else you ask them to look for. And they're basically just writing notes about what happened, and very factual, so you can go back and read it and discuss it. And sometimes you'll just say, oh, yeah, I knew all that. Or you might be like, oh, my goodness, I didn't realize I never call on, you know, this child, and he had his hand up the whole time. So it's just very factual things. That's all it's going to be. And then if you wanted to work on, say, for example, guided reading, your mentor is there to point out some things and discuss. You're going to discuss it together. Your mentor's not there to give you all the answers. Your mentor is more of a springboard. And then again, ongoing communication. As we go down below, then we're going to divvy it up into the actual CSTPs, and there are reflection questions here. So in the first CSTP, it's engaging and supporting all students in learning. You'll see the 6 different sections of CSTP 1. And basically all you're going to do is reflect and describe an example from the observation of your current teaching practice. And it's evidence-based. So if you have a strength of changing the speed of your lesson, like you noticed Sally was totally missing everything, and so you realized, okay, I better just kind of slow down a little bit for her, then you would have to state in your strengths, you're good at timing your lessons and changing accordingly, but you need to put the evidence in there. The evidence was that, you know, Sally was missing out on instruction, or it was too difficult, and you were able to change the speed of instruction to support her. So you name the strength and you give the evidence. Same with where you want to grow. Name the growth and try and give evidence of where that showed up in your observation. It's not always possible, but try your best with that. And then the same thing happens all the way through the rest of this document for CSTPs 2 through 6. And you're basically just reflecting and providing your strengths and your growths with evidence. So I think if we scroll all the way down, we might be at verification. You'll have a conversation. Okay, that's kind of new. If we go up just a tiny bit, employer administrator input, this is completely optional. You do not need to welcome your administrator in for your observations. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's totally fine. That's just there in case you do want to have their input. And then the development of professional growth goal. Sometimes this can be really confusing for people, but if you just look at number 1 where it says professional growth goal, you're just going to reflect back. What do you want to do overall this year in induction? What do you want to improve on? So you're going to come up with a question that's not a yes/no question. So some possible question stems you could use are like, what, let's say I spoke about guided reading. What guided reading strategies can be implemented to increase student comprehension in nonfiction text, for example? Now, can you give a clear answer like yes or no or this or that? No, because this is an open-ended question of inquiry that you will be working on for 6 weeks. Then you'll identify CSTP goals that you're going to be paying attention to throughout your inquiry. And then at the bottom, at about week 8, this is pretty much the end of the first month. Like I said, it was the rest of September and the first half of October. So this is where you're kind of summing up, making sure that you've completed all of the boxes, and you're going to ask your mentor to then sign when it's completed, and they will use a digital written signature, not a typed signature. And then they will email it on your behalf to the second reader. If the second reader has any questions, they may reach out to you, or they might reach out to your mentor. People are comfortable with different ways of doing things. So that's pretty much it for section 1. And then feel free to look through what sections 2 and so forth look like. And these are pretty much your action research. This is your improving on the things that you want to improve on, finding resources out there, whether it's a website or it's a book that you've been wanting to read, or maybe you're doing a book study now at school, but you're gonna find a few resources just to use to guide you.
Thanks, Jennifer. This is Nan. I've been a mentor for a few years now, and can I offer just a couple of other outside thoughts?
Yes.
The first is to the candidates, I would think it's really best to just read through the document first and not try to go right at it and start writing to it, because you want some thought process around, certainly around your students and around your practice. So if you read it first, that'll be in your mind, and it will help you to kind of gear towards what you want to accomplish. And then the other piece was just around your mentor is there completely and totally to support you. We don't get involved with any other aspect of your, your career other than to just show that we're there for you, and we've gone before you, and we've all been through this process. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Nan. That's so important. The great thing about having your mentor to guide you throughout all of this is that your mentor is going to follow the Vegas rule. Whatever happens here stays here. So you can feel free to discuss as you feel more comfortable with your mentor. And that's why your mentor is not going to be a supervisor. Your mentor is not going to evaluate you or make judgment. They're simply there to guide you. And they cannot break confidentiality. They will keep all of this information to themselves. If they do have a question, they will come to either Julie or I. And then also the mentor training, if you've never been a mentor before, I don't believe we got those dates yet. But it will be, oh no, it's not dates, I apologize.
Right.
It's
online. Asynchronous this time. So it will be online, and they can register for it online. So we'll make sure to, I can't remember if I put it in the base camp already, but we'll be adding it to the base camp for the dates. But I do like that flexibility. So it's not like previous years you had to take off 2 days of school to attend. Now they've created an asynchronous option. And Elizabeth Creech has already started it.
wow.
So it's already started. So we will share that information. We're also one of the first districts to really get started too, so know that you're not behind anything. We'll just make sure to share it, and you can get started as soon as possible. Any other questions? Anyone want to unmute themselves and share, even just share a reflection, share a tip, or ask a question?
Yes, Julie. This is Marcia Valenzuela.
Hi, Marcia.
Hi, I'm looking at the slide presentation. I'm just kind of confused here where it says year 1 and echo pace yourself. Slide number 13, where it has September 1st, October 15, where it says what to do. View the discussion video, respond to the prompt. But I don't see any link or anything about video. So that's my question.
Very good question. So when you get access to Canvas after September 11th, you will see modules within your Canvas class, and you will see the video for each discussion there and the directions for how to proceed with watching the video and including a response as well as your own thoughts. So yeah, you're not seeing any of that here because again, we don't evaluate any of the discussion that goes on. It's through a separate entity or another group of people. So they will have that on there on Canvas after September 11th when you get access.
So we will get an email for that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And if you've never worked in a learning management system, it's pretty intuitive. And then your mentor can also support you and help you with how to submit assignments, how to find resources. That's why we're trying to make as much information available to the mentor so they are able to support you with this work. So any questions? A fair question.
Yes.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Sure.
How do we hear from our mentor? Do we get an email or
Yes.
how do we hear from our mentor?
What we'll do this year is we'll send out an email out with the pairing list, and then we'll ask the mentors to make the initial contact. So you'll probably get that within a week, because we're going to have the pairing list ready by the end of this week, and then hopefully by next Monday or Tuesday you'll have heard from your mentor. Jennifer and I didn't discuss that time frame, so hopefully that works with you too, Jennifer.
Yes.
I know Jennifer's already started on the pairing list. We're going to make some adjustments if needed, and just make sure to get that done as soon as possible.
Yes. So when you get the Canvas invitation, feel free to look around, but you know, don't get overwhelmed. Just, you know, you can walk through it with your mentor. If you've been a mentor in the past, I don't know if you recall last year is the first time we switched over to Canvas, and we no longer had access to going and logging in as the candidate to make sure they're up to date with their assignments. So we learned last year that we have to follow up a lot with the candidates to make sure that everything is uploaded correctly. There's a process to uploading where your assignment is actually downloaded as a PDF so that you can upload it as a PDF. So it's no longer a live Google Doc when you turn it in. But your mentors are all going to be able to help you with that. And if mentors have any questions, they get stuck, we're always here. Julie and I are always here. And then Chad has the support meetings as well, periodically. So there's a lot of support for the mentors as well.
And Deanna's asking for the application for for induction. Okay, so that one I took off of the website because the deadline had passed, but let me check to see, Deanna, are you already registered? Let me just double check to make sure you're not already on here. Okay. I do see you. You're already registered. You're already on here.
Great.
Yes. So do you still need that registration form? Oh, okay. You're all set. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right, hopefully you have what you need. Don't forget to complete that survey if you have someone in mind who you'd like to be your candidate or your mentor. If you don't have anyone in mind, you don't need to fill it out. Again, please just reach out to us if you have any questions. 2 resources just to keep in mind would be the Diocesan Professional Learning page, and then just make sure you have this slide deck. So the slide deck I dropped into the chat box a few minutes ago, but I'll drop it in again. That has all the hyperlinks to everything we discussed today. Okay, so you're in our prayers, and we wish you success this year. And Jennifer, any final comments?
We also had a handout just to kind of make things a little more succinct that we can send out to maybe via Basecamp to the mentors to share.
Great. Did I miss that, Jennifer?
Yeah, but that's okay, because we can just double check and make sure nothing changed.
Okay.
In this time of change.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thanks, everybody. Good luck this year.
Thank you.
Jennifer, you're off to your next meeting, right?
Oh my goodness, yes. Bye.
Yeah. Take care.
Have a great evening.
Bye. You too.